In the 2022 NBA draft, the Lakers ended up selecting Max Christie, guard out of Michigan State, 35th overall. On the surface, Christie's college numbers doesn't really jump out at you, but from watching his film at Michigan State, he definitely fits the NBA mold of the prototypical 3-and-D player. Offensively, Christie didn't handle the ball as much and was mostly used as a corner shooter, as we'll see in these next few clips. Lakers coach Darvin Ham stated that the foundation of the Lakers offense this season is going to be a 1-in 4-out system, and that appears to be exactly what Michigan State is running right here. The center's on the interior, draws multiple defenders, kicks it out, ball moves around the perimeter, finds Christie in the corner, he gets good lift on his jump shot and gets it to fall. Similar concept here on the second play. The center's anchored in the middle, ball moves around the perimeter in order to find the weakness in this Oakland zone. Christie's now at the wing and eventually gets a little hammer seal screen from the corner man. The cross-court pass breaks the zone. Christie gets it wide open again. Take a look at his form. Knees bent. Again, gets good lift on his jump shot and holds his follow through. And that's a knockdown. This next one is an inbound play from the Spartans. They get the ball into Christie near the top of the key. This is obviously a set play, but I'm not a fan of how quickly he kills his dribble. Now he has to sit and wait for one of his teammates to get open, instead of being able to use the dribble and probe until he finds what he's looking for. Most good NBA defenders would see him kill his dribble and they would hound the ball, and that could lead to a turnover. Nevertheless, they run a play that we've all seen before, the inverted pick and pop play that LeBron likes to run late in games for the Lakers. Christie goes to set the screen for the 6'8" Gabe Brown. With Christie's man in drop coverage and the big going downhill, the drop coverage has to honor that, and now Christie just pops back into the open space for the wide open three. Although he was primarily a spot-up shooter, Christie is also capable of shooting it on the move. Here's a pass up top to the guard that triggers the floppy action, where both shooters curl off screens on opposite sides of the floor. Christie's man gets wiped out, Duke's big man Mark Williams is late on his recognition, and Max knocks down the mid-range jump shot. Here's another instance where Christie is spot up in the corner while his teammates work in the middle of the floor to get a good shot. Again, just because he's a corner shooter doesn't mean that he's not active. The shot goes up, but Christie doesn't spectate and sneaks in behind his defender and skies over the number 1 pick Banchero to grab this offensive board. He just misses this layup, but this gets his team an extra possession. Excellent effort there, and I can see him being very active, giving the Lakers some second chance opportunities at the next level, much like Austin Reeves does now for the team. Very next play in the game, same concept. This time Max is in the opposite corner. The floor is spread nicely, high screen and roll. Christie defenders playing way up on him, looking to deter any 3-point shots. The ball handler in the pick and roll ends up giving up his dribble, and instead of standing in place and letting the play just die with a turnover, Christie makes something happen, recognizing how close he's being guarded, and then he uses his speed, catching his defender napping, with the quick move of faking middle and then going backdoor baseline. Then for good measure, showing off some hops and fearlessness at the rim, going at the ACC's top shot blocker in Mark Williams. Now let's talk a little defense. The side of the ball where I think this guy's going to be most impactful at the next level. Pick and roll coming, Christie's a part of the weak side eye defensive coverage, and his main objective in this case is to stunt, take away the drive, and then recover back to his man. Here he does his job and takes away the drive with the hard stunt, which causes the ball handler to back up. Now with all that said, where is Christie's man on the floor? Almost behind them at this point, which is definitely something you want to avoid as a defender. But Christie is definitely aware of this and keeps his hands up in the passing lanes in case of a backdoor cut, and this is exactly what number 20 has in mind. When Max recognizes that his man is cutting backdoor, he turns his hips and then goes backdoor with him, and again sticks his hand in the passing lane to prevent anything from getting by him. And this definitely saved an easy bucket at the rim for Minnesota. On this play, Christie's on the weak side again. Now there's a ton of activity going on the strong side where the ball is. But check out the misdirection on the weak side from Oakland that's trying to confuse the defense. There's an exchange between the wing and the corner shooter. That confuses number 3, Jaden Atkins. And he starts to move into the direction of the corner, which would now leave that wing player wide open. Christie recognizes this and give Atkins a shove, implying there's a switch taking place. They still score on this play, but this is a great sign from Christie because at the next level, communication is everything, especially on defense. Plays like this happens on almost every possession, so you have to be able to talk and be ready. This is another instance that appears minor, but goes a very long way in the pros. There's a screen coming in behind Christie, but watch closely as he anticipates this and then shifts his body immediately in order to negate and get around this screen. It also sends the ball handler toward the baseline and directly into the waiting defender. Now the defending big shows, which allows Christie to gain ground, and now he has the baseline as a defender as well. High hands up preventing the pass out, and the big is now shielding the roller. This creates havoc in the paint and ultimately a poor shot. This next play was awesome to watch. Look at how smoothly this guy glides by multiple screens on defense. On the first down screen, check out how he plants the outside foot and gets his shoulder below the hips of the screener. Then he simply locks and trails his man. He gets a bit off balance toward the end on the quick stop, but still bothers the shot with his length. Now there's a missed shot, but I want you to look closely at what he does after the shot is missed and he gets out in transition. He's aware that the player that just missed the shot is probably who's going to guard him going down the floor in transition. So what does he do? He sprints to the other side of the court, knowing that this will probably create some separation. It also confuses the defensive assignments, and it does exactly that as his defender ends up turning around and leaving Christie off to another defender that's closer in proximity. He gives Christie too much space, and that's a transition 3. I'm just going to let this last play run so you can see what Christie is capable of on the break. Christie mostly reminds me of a young KCP, a guy that's aggressive and fundamentally sound on defense and can knock down a couple threes for you if you need it. I expect Max Christie to be fully enmeshed into the rotation at the start of the NBA season.